It's the Gadget Guru. Yes, I know no glasses today. They were giving me a headache, so I took them off earlier. But this is going to be a video response to why Dark World's in top by Team Minority SPG. I believe there's T in this video talking about why he believes they didn't top and everything. And I want to start off by saying, when I started off YouTube, they were one of the first people I subbed to. I've watched their videos for a long time, and I think they're all really knowledgeable guys and really good guys. So I want to first say I agree with you and I disagree with you. I'm going to say it was T because I believe it was T who made the video, but I'm really not sure on it. So I agree with you and I disagree with you. The thing I agree with you on is you said that a lot of them let the chance of a mirror match influence what they ran in the main deck, which they shouldn't have. I agree with that. They shouldn't have done that. I mean, you should play your main deck with as much consistency as possible. That way you have a good chance of getting to the later round. So that's the first thing. I want to agree with that. You should play your deck with it being the most consistent you can get. The second thing that I want to say I agree with is I agree with the fact that people running substandard builds may have had something to do with why they didn't top. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. First of all, I want to say, overall, Dark World in general, I've said this many times, but let me explain it. It's a linear deck. Your only out is pretty much Grapha, unless you run Gold and Silva. Now, I understand a lot of people don't like those cards being ran, but the truth of it is, they give you access to Keeper of Armageddon, they give you boss monsters, they give you really good effects when discarded by opponent's card effects. They do add consistency, they really do. That's a really big argument thing back and forth between Dark World players is what cards should you play. So I'm not saying, what's right and what's wrong, I'm just saying that those cards are good in my opinion. But like I say, it's a very linear deck. Your only out is Grapha. I mean, you can do some syncering and some exceeding with like Tour Guide and stuff, but really you can't do much. I mean, you just really can't. Grapha is your main boss card. Now, I think that's why they didn't beat Plant, and that's why I think they couldn't get past the top 32, because they're too linear. Their only power play is the Grapha play, or maybe a Lavere play. Either one. But their main power play is the Grapha. Now, when you talk about Plant, they can Black Rose, they can Stardust, they can Thought Ruler, they can do whatever the hell they want to. That's why they're better, in my opinion, is because they're more versatile. They have more answers, they have more outs, they have more options. With a Dark World deck, you go summon Grapha, and you hope they don't fucking deep prison a bottomless him, because if they do, you're screwed. Now, in the next set, Photon Shockwave, they'll be getting a card called Dark Smog. That will help them immensely. I mean, immensely. It really will. If you don't know what Dark Smog is, go ahead and just wiki it. Basically, it's a continuous trap card. You can discard one Fiend monster from your hand to banish one card in the graveyard. It turns any Dark World into a DD Crow, and then it gets its effect. So it's amazing. Like, it really is. It'll get rid of Glow Up Bulb, it'll get rid of Spore, get rid of Dandelions, it'll get rid of, it'll do all that stuff. So, I mean, it's really good for that part. And then it also, one of the big plays I've seen people do is, against Dark World, is Stardust. Because the only answer they have for Stardust is a Grapha, which is a 2500. And all you have to do is bottomless deep prison it, and you're home free. Really, that's like honestly what I've seen. I've also seen Dark Worlds lose simply because, let me put it this way, Dark Worlds can push, but when they get pushed, no way. That's the problem. When a Dark World pushes, it can push. It can go Tour Guide, grab a monster, return it, Grapha, stuff summon something else, something like that. It can push okay. But when plants or GBs or whatever push back the Dark World has no defensive cards. It has to let whatever they want to do go. And that's one of the biggest problems. Like when you play Gladiator Beast versus Dark World, it doesn't matter, because no matter how good the Dark World player brings out, all the Gladiator Beast player has to do is go normal summon a monster, test Tiger, grab the Daria, grab a monster from his graveyard, Geyseris. That's all he's got to do. And I've seen it over and over and over. So, I think one of the reasons they didn't do very well, that you didn't mention, is they're a very linear deck. They're really hard to top with, because people know how to kill them. When you're talking about plants, even if you can play removal cards and stuff like that, you still got cards like Reborn Tengu and stuff like that giving you a hard time. Now, I mean, removal cards do great plant decks, don't get me wrong, but they still have options. Now, when you play removal against Dark Worlds, game over. If they don't have an MSC or a heavy, game over. That's what it honestly is. Because they have no effects and they have no way of summoning Grapha. It's just game. Same with, and another thing is, since they're such a linear deck, they're easily countered. Very easily countered. I mean, when your opponent drops a Consecrated Light or a Dimensional Fissure or some shit like that, they're just like, oh, shit. You know, when they play their draw cards, like Drag Down to the Grave, Dark World Dealing, Card Destruction, all your opponent has to do is drop a Gemini Imp and he's like, nope, fuck you, I get a free card. Honestly, that's what happens. So, I mean, the deck is way too linear and it's way too easily countered, and that's why I didn't get top 32, and those are the two reasons I'm giving. Now I want to talk a little bit about your build that you displayed in the video, but I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking your deck. I'm really not. You know, you said in your video that you believe they were all running bad builds or substandard builds, and really, I don't think you can say that. That's a little bit. I don't want to like offend you here, but that's a little bit, you know, upright on your part. Like you shouldn't be saying that. But, you know, in my opinion, every person has their own build, and each person has a different build that works for them. So each person has to play a different build in order to get the desired results they want. So, anyways, on to your deck. Hello. When I was looking at your deck, the biggest problem I saw with it was you didn't have answers. Like, you had hand control. Don't get me wrong. You had some hand control. You had some, you know, some really good support cards, but if they drop a power monster on you, you can't do shit. Honestly, that's the honest truth. You don't have smashings, you don't have bottomless, you don't have deep prisons, you don't have anything. I mean, the best card you've got for that is Dark Hole, and really one card out of 40, and hoping to have it when they start playing their power cards doesn't do anything. And if the power card they play is a Stardust Dragon, Dark Hole doesn't do anything anyway. So, really. You know, but like I said, Dark Smog will help with that, because later then you can go Dark Hole, they Stardust, and then you can just banish their fucking Stardust with Dark Smog. But for right now, in my opinion, Dark Worlds will not be taking a Shonen. Just honestly, they will not. And it's not because they played the wrong tech choices or anything like that. It's because they're too linear and they're just too easily countered. Now, you were talking about different builds and how that can affect how you know, if you can win or not. I've only seen 2 Dark World decks that I actually thought were good. You know, I was afraid to play. The first one is my friend John. He plays a Dark World deck, but he plays it immensely different than other people. The first thing he does that gives him an edge is Royal Decree. It guarantees when he goes off, you can't do shit. Period. You won't be able to do anything. He'll just go off and go crazy, and you have to sit there and look at him. That's the first thing. The second thing he does is he plays Cerulite. Now, this is another really, really, really big debated card. I understand that Dark World players, some hate this card with a passion, some love this card with a passion. My friend John loves it. Now let me explain why. When you discard Cerulite with the effect of a Dark World card, Dark World Dealings, the Field card, Dark World Lightning, whatever, what have you, it special summons to your opponent's side of the field. Then it discards one card from your hand. So what that does is it allows you to take any one of your Dark World monsters and boom, get their full effect automatically. And when you do that with Silva, with Gold, with even Grapha, I mean, it's brutal. I mean, like seriously, you activate Dark World Lightning, discard the Cerulite, just destroy one of their back rows or the face-down monster, special summon the Cerulite to their field, discard your Grapha, blow up another one of their back rows, and then you get to special summon one. You can special summon like one monster from their hand, and then you can just bring back your Graph after that, and like by doing Mind Control Cerulite, return it for your Grapha, and you've got Cerulite back. And I've seen him do such broken combos with that card, with the Cerulite. Now, like I said, it's a very debated card. I understand that. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people say it's not consistent, etc., etc. But from the 2 builds I've seen, the Cerulite was in both of them. The second one was ran by some kid up at Hero Comics. I didn't get his name. Basically, he was running